Before I get into the topic of today's video, let me adjust my camera here. I seem to recall a comment I got once. That comment was on, why don't you show the actual product that you are reviewing? Well, the reason I do not show it too often is because I cannot. I love staying on top of the latest tech, but when it comes to whether or not I personally have a need for it, a lot of times the answer is no. For example, when I reviewed the HTC Touch, I gave my opinion on that. I already have a phone. When I reviewed the EPC, I already had something that kind of fell into the same class. It kind of didn't. It depends on how you look at it. And that was this. Oh, by the way, one side note. Somebody asked if I could do a review on this. I know that's not the topic of this video, so I'm not going to. But I already did do a review of it sometime back. So if you want to look at that, you can. So yeah, basically the reason why I don't have something in front of me all the time is because while I like to look at it in the stores, I often don't have a personal need to get one. And financially speaking, if I were to get one, I think that would be irresponsible if you don't have a true need for it. That being said, let's delve into the topic of this video, which is the new MacBook. The all-aluminum MacBook, which is, I believe, the new higher-end model. And, let's see, let me just open up my notes on it. Here we go. And let's take a look at what I have to say about the new MacBook. At least from what I could feel, excuse me, it was lighter. I did manage to lift it up, but I couldn't get very far because the MagSafe adapter was consistently getting removed. There was no battery on board, but at the same time it did feel lighter than the MacBook that I currently have in front of me that I'm recording this video on. Let's see. The touchpad was very nice. I didn't miss the button at all. To be honest, when I was using the touchpad, my thumb naturally fell into position where the button is on my current touchpad, and it just went ahead and clicked. And there was no problem, no learning curve whatsoever. The only thing that would take adjusting, getting adjusted to, is the 4-finger swipe, because I'm not used to that. That is a brand new feature in the Mac, in the MacBook, in the new MacBook. Another thing that I liked about the touchpad was the fact that it felt a lot less resistant. It was definitely a smoother texture to it. I felt like I was zipping along the touchpad a lot faster than the one in the previous generation MacBook, or I should say the new low-end MacBook, because that particular one is still the white plastic one of what I guess would be the previous generation now. The one that I'm talking about, the one with the aluminum, that's the high-end model now. So yeah, the touchpad was really nice. The unibody enclosure, I really liked that because I think that makes it a lot more durable, lighter, and probably, well, I already said more durable, but I'll say this. The very first Mac laptop I had, it was an iBook G4. And I had a ride to college with one of my relatives. They had to slam on the brakes really hard on the freeway, so hard that my backpack, which my iBook was in, took a really hard slam against this back of my seat. I was in the front, the backpack was behind me in the back seat. So it took that slam. As a result, the side panel in my iBook is kind of loose. Well, it's not loose, but it's got a noticeable crack in it, and the headphone jack is now a monorail jack. It's no longer stereo. I think a connection fell loose. But I think that with this new aluminum MacBook, if you're in the market for something like this for college, go ahead, get the aluminum MacBook if you can shell out the extra cash. Because the aluminum would definitely be a lot more durable than the plastic, and I think it would be a good investment. The LED display, they had a previous generation MacBook, a black one, right next to the new one, the aluminum one, and I could compare the displays side by side. Let me tell you something, the LED display, I thought they sort of, that was sort of a gimmick when they said instant on, because I didn't quite notice it in the MacBook Air, but with the MacBook, the new aluminum MacBook, I definitely noticed it. Instant on, it was brighter, it seemed crisper. Overall, it was just a fantastic display, a lot better than the one on my current MacBook. Let's see. What else? And the side-mounted battery meter is nice, because if you have a white plastic MacBook or the older iBook or any of the previous generation PowerBooks, you know that in order to get the battery life without turning on the system, you have to turn it upside down. Well, I guess upside down. Basically, the lid is on the table, and the bottom of the notebook is facing up. So, I guess that would be considered upside down. At least to me, it would. So you have to turn your notebook upside down to get your battery life in the previous generation MacBook and PowerBook models. That is no longer the case, because on the left-hand side of the unit, they have incorporated that meter. It's no longer built into the battery itself. And it's very nice. There was no battery in the MacBook in the store, but it still flashed across the spectrum, I guess indicating that there was no battery and it was running on AC power alone. But it was very clear, easy to see. The button was a little bit smaller than I expected, but still easy to find. But overall, a very nice system. I like the fact that it's now on the side, so you no longer have to turn your MacBook upside down to get to the battery life. And that's also, incidentally, that's also on the MacBook Pro, so if you're in need of the MacBook Pro's extra horsepower or extra storage space, you'll find the exact same thing. Other than that, it's the same exact operating system and similar specifications, with the exception of the dual graphics cards that are independent of the main processor. With that having been said, would I personally upgrade? No, I would not. The reason I went from the MacBook, from the iBook and the iMac to the new MacBook was primarily because of the operating system. The iMac was not going to be able to support it at all, and the iBook was going to be able to support it, but with a bit of a, from what I heard, a degree of shakiness that would not be adequate for what I wanted to use it for, which was making these YouTube videos. I also heard that the video card would fail at some point. Actually, I think that already happened once. Can't remember really. But yeah, I still have my iBook. I use it downstairs to avoid carrying this up and down all the time, because I prefer to complete my college assignments downstairs with little distractions. So I use that downstairs. The iMac I use for flight tracking, because when my relatives fly, I like to track their flights, and it's easier than consistently going upstairs and downstairs when I like to watch TV at the same time. So I use my iMac for that, but I don't use the iMac or the iBook near as often as I used to. So yeah, my MacBook is now my primary Mac. But would I upgrade to the new one? No, I would not. I'm gonna wait until until it reaches the point where this particular piece of hardware in front of me is no longer capable of running the operating system. That's exactly how long I waited. It was about 6 years, and I'm giving it about 6 years until I get another Mac, if I get one. Basically, financial, financial factors. But yeah, the new MacBook, I would say an 8 out of 10, only because it wasn't a major improvement in the operating system. If it was a total overhaul from the ground up, both outside, inside, and interface operating system, I would get it. Otherwise, I'd say forget it. Thank you for watching and have a nice evening. Comments are welcome. I look forward to them.